Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Economic Tourism Cultural Development Meeting, Tuesday, May 28th. Call to order. Approval of the agenda. Thank you, Councillor McAleer, seconded by Your Worship. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Oh, I missed one. Seeing none, approval of the minutes of March 26, 2024 meeting. Moved by Your Worship, seconded by Councillor McAleer. Any business arising from those minutes?
Right
Mr.
here.
Chair,
Okay, I have two.
Let the mayor
Councillor
go
Twill?
first. No, let him go.
Okay, Your Worship.
number 7, page 4, new business, e-scooter presentation. So we've had a lot of discussion on this, and I know you were at the meeting yesterday for the Environment Sustainability Standing Committee. I know that police protection and emergency services are looking at development of bylaw or policy, so I just want to make sure that we can coordinate that with them also. That is economic development, tourism, festival events, because it's all about working outside the silos. Thank you.
Noted. Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Chair McKinnon. I want to go to C, Downtown Farmers Market.
What page are you on?
That's a good question. 2, I believe. I don't know if someone in senior management can help me with this. I learned at the last city council meeting that management here with the city was involved with discussions with Diverse City, correct me if I'm wrong, encouraged representatives from Diverse City to relocate from Queen Street to Confederation Landing. They didn't have to go. They were still within their right or mandate or ability, or however you want to categorize it, that they were able to stay on Queen Street. And recently, I learned the same discussions have taken place, and please correct me if I'm wrong, with representatives from Farm Day in the city to relocate Farm Day in the city to Confederation Landing. So that's, I can tell you're shaking your head there, Laura Lee, that's not accurate.
While discussions have taken place with all street event organizers in the city, Farm Day in the city is not being relocated.
No, okay, but as you pointed out, discussions did take place with all representatives from all the different, user groups, and the option was there for them to relocate to Confederation Landing.
There was no option for Farm Day in the city. It's far too large for any site other than the one that they currently have.
So that, what I heard over the weekend was inaccurate.
It appears that way, yes.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that. And I think, Chair, as you know, one of the resolutions that was passed at City Council was for our engineers, particularly in the Public Works Department. We have, we have 2 engineers there, plus we have Asset Management, Paul Johnson, who has a corporate history here with the city, and our fire chief and police chief to look at what requirements would be to make Queen Street a safe venue for the farmers market to relocate to Queen Street, making sure that all of the safety and security issues were effectively addressed so that council can make an informed decision, you know, when that information or that report comes forward. So I'm just trying to follow along, trying to stay in tune as to what's happening, and just wanted to bring this to the committee's attention. Because, we're being asked questions that, geez, my apologies. We're being asked questions out in the community about what's taking place with the farmer's market, the relocation. Why is it going to a recreational venue when that's not the purpose of a recreational venue? To have, these events, whether it be in a weekly or a one-off or whatever the case may be, being held in a recreational venue when that's not the purpose of a recreational venue. So I look forward to the day that we can finally have a permanent solution to this issue, so we can resolve it in a way that hopefully there'll be a buy-in from the entire community. And then I wanted to ask a question. Pardon?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Then I wanted to ask a question about tax incentives. Is the city of Charlottetown looking at an overall reevaluation of tax incentives and how tax incentives would apply to different agencies here in the city of Charlottetown? It could be any number of agencies or businesses that want to relocate to the city of Charlottetown. Are we looking at a much broader scope? Are we looking at redefining what the parameters are when it comes to tax incentives? Because that seems to keep coming up time and time again. And I'm trying to get a better understanding as to where we're going as a city council. So when you're approached out in the community and people are asking about tax incentives, who's eligible for tax incentives? What's the time frame? Can anyone apply? All those different questions. So I'm trying to get an understanding about tax incentives, where they were from a traditional sense, and where do we go from a contemporary sense?
Thank you, Councillor Twill, for your question. Mr. Long, you have an answer for that one?
Through the chair to the councillor. Councillor Twill, the tax incentive policy stands on its own. This committee and previous committees have made a number of amendments to the policy over the years. It's essentially focused around commercial development in the downtown, enhancing and further development, and then perhaps outside of the downtown, new builds and expanding. Staff are currently cleaning up the policy with respect to definitions and wording to ensure that it's sound and understood by those looking to potentially engage in discussions around the policy. But at this point in time, we're not looking to expand the policy unless that's the direction of the committee. Staff haven't had any particular discussions on that. We've continued to receive intakes and evaluate those appropriately and bring them forward to the committee with recommendations, and the committee's acted on those appropriately. I would say at this point in time, there's in the range of a half a dozen active files with respect to the strategy itself. We are in the process of creating a new application form, which wasn't there before. It was, an open submission, so we're making it a bit more user-friendly with respect to receiving the information that we require in order to evaluate each individual application. So hopefully that gives you a broad overview, but in short, we're currently not looking to change the program unless we're given direction by the committee.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on that, could we email the tax farm? It's called the City of Charlottetown Tax Incentive Strategy. Just email it to the committee members. We did change it because it was amended April 24th, 2023. I think that was to accommodate the PEI Bio Alliance, correct?
Yeah, through the chair, Your Worship, you are correct. The committee this committee and previous committees has made amendments to the policy. The most recent amendment, which you're referring to, was to allow the Bio Alliance to be a part of that process. In this particular instance, it would channel through the Charlottetown Area Development Corporation as the builder, owner, and landlord of those assets in the Bio Alliance Park.
Yeah. And Mr. Chair, just through the chair to Wayne. So Wayne, it's now 5 years. Have we had it over a 10-year period?
Through the chair, your worship, there has been a number of amendments. It's my understanding, this file has only come to me in the last year or thereabouts, that at one time there was a 10-year declining time frame, and the committee of the day during that amendment process decided to reduce that to a 5-year process. We currently have a group of individuals who've been approved for 5 years and are now coming back looking for a 10-year consideration. They will appear before the committee at the next committee meeting.
Right. Thank you.
Any other business arising? Seeing none, we'll go on to reports and discussions. We have Dr. Vermani here from the Racket Club presentation. I ask Mr. Long to introduce him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Dr. Vermani and his group approached the municipality a few months ago with respect to the potential possibility of developing a private racket club in the capital city. There was a short meeting between myself and representatives from the city's Parks and Recreation Department. There is a number of things that Dr. Vermani would like to speak to the committee about. He's aware of his timeline today, and he's here to walk the committee through his presentation. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Vermani.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Thank you. I first of all want to thank the council for taking the time out to listen to my presentation. I'm really thankful. And I'll just try and share my presentation. I'm not very good at this, but I will try and see if I can share my presentation. Let me see, share. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, it just popped up.
Okay, so this is the proposal for an indoor tennis and pickleball center in Charlottetown, PEI. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time out to hear this out. So first of all, I would like to introduce my team. My name is Dr. Vivek Vermani, and I'm a radiologist working in Fredericton, New Brunswick. If you can see the pointer, this is my colleague, Dr. Galwa, the second name on the list. He's also a radiologist. And this is Dr. Swami. He's also a radiologist. All of us work in Fredericton. And this is Dr. Farhadnia. He's an orthopedician working in Fredericton as well. So I'm the spokesperson for this team, and that's why I'm proposing this indoor tennis and pickleball center. Now, the first question which would arise is why tennis from a group of doctors? Well, we have been for the past 10, 15 years recreational players. We're avid fans of the game, students of the game. We love the game. We have studied the game. All of our kids, by coincidence, are in competitive tennis. Some of them have played high-level competitive tennis. And that's another reason which has brought us very close to the tennis community. I did build my own court in Fredericton. We have an excellent 6-court indoor facility in Fredericton, the only in New Brunswick. But because our kids play in competitive tennis, we built our own single court tennis center, and that brought us to the sort of how to manage a court, the financial side of a racket court center as well. I would like to emphasize here that that for us, this is not more than a business venture. This is more like we want to leave a bit of imprint, a bit of legacy on tennis. We're really interested in the game, might be a post-retirement plan, but it's not merely a money-making venture. It's our passion for tennis, for which we want to do this. And I believe we do have some expertise as well. Over the past 15 years, we have developed some expertise in this field, as I said, both in the recreational part, the competitive part, and now in the running of a tennis center part as well. We believe we do have some expertise. A lot of people ask us as, where should we get the training? What kind of programs we should run? So we thought we should share this expertise also with the community as well. Just a quick picture. This is, my daughter and Dr. Galva's daughter representing New Brunswick in Canada Games. They did pretty good in the Canada Games. This is Dr. Swami's daughter. She's currently the U12, under 12 champion, under 10 junior girls champion in Atlantic Canada, and she recently went to the National Tennis Championship. This is my son. He's the under 10 tennis champion in Atlantic Canada. And again, some more pictures. This is Dr. Farhadnia's kids. They also play tennis. So all of our kids, they have played tennis. Some of them are younger and are still growing. Some of them have already represented New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada either at the national level or in the Canada Games. This is my single court indoor tennis center, which I've built in Fredericton. And we initially started it just for our kids, but then now it is registered as a small business, and we also rent it out, and it has been doing pretty well. The second question which would come is why PEI? We do believe that there's a significant interest and need in the community. There's been an exponential increase, especially post-COVID, in the game, and I'll show you that by further numbers from Tennis Canada as well. But concerning PEI, I've just put up some numbers here from the Charlottetown Club, Stratford, Summerside, Tennis at the Park, and Tennis PEI, based on their memberships. I've just taken these numbers from those clubs, and in 2021-22, the total number of members in PEI were 304, while that has doubled in the post-COVID scenario. I would also like to draw your attention to this petition, an online petition. We have been in close touch with the community and both the competitive and the recreational side, and they have been running a signature campaign, of which we have 662 signatures. They wanted an indoor tennis facility in PEI. So just to come to my point, that basically we are sure that there's a significant interest. A lot of people play tennis, are interested in the game, and definitely want an indoor center there. We'll just run a few numbers on the tournaments in the summer in PEI, and you can see again there's been a growth here. I would like to say here that 802 is not the number of players. It is the number of entries. So if one player has played 4 tournaments, that's 4 entries. So there have been 802 entries for juniors in PEI tournaments held over the 4 months of the summer. And you can see that again, from 2020 to 2023, again a significant rise. Same with the adults in the tournaments. Again, you can see there is a rise in the number of players. We have 14 active players in the University of PEI. They do play, they are inter-university competitions between New Brunswick, PEI, between the various universities in Atlantic Canada, and then they go to the national level as well. And University PEI has been trying and playing well in those competitions. We have several high-performance juniors from PEI who compete at the Atlantic level, and many of them qualify despite the severe limitation of not having an indoor court. They cannot practice in the winters. Despite that, several of them have struggled hard and have broken through even on the national scene. PEI has 37 outdoor courts for a 4-month season, but it does not have any indoor court for the 8-month winter season. It is the only Atlantic province with no indoor tennis court. Tennis PEI runs their tournaments in Truro. They sort of rent out the Truro courts to run their winter programs. Competitive program, as any competitive player would tell you, is not possible without year-long play. And I know of at least 3 families I know who had the option of moving out of PEI. They did have an option because the kids, they were playing competitive tennis, but there was no winter. They could not play in the winter, so they had to move out of PEI. They had the option, and they moved out of PEI. PEI is a very popular tourist spot, and I'll just show in my further slides as to how this would help with the tourism part as well, having an indoor tennis court. So what is our business plan? We plan to build 4 international standard indoor tennis courts, privately owned and for profit.
I'm trying to follow along here. Can you go back to that previous slide?
Yes.
I'm trying to take notes, so, anyway. Okay, go ahead.
So in our business plan, we have 4 international standard indoor tennis courts, privately owned and for profit. This would be I'm focusing on the tennis, but they're also going to be pickleball courts. In one tennis court, you can accommodate 4 pickleball courts, and these are easily interchangeable. You can easily convert a tennis court into a pickleball court. We have removable lines, which we put, removable tape, which we put, so they can easily interconverted. So the business plan is that it could be 3 tennis and 4 pickleball courts. So 4 pickleball courts on the one tennis court, or on peak times of tennis, it could be 4 plus 0, or it could be 2 tennis courts and 8 pickleball courts. So let's say in the morning time, if it's not busy for tennis, there are not many kids and seniors want to play, then we change them to pickleball courts. So we're going to be having that flexibility. It is going to be a tennis and pickleball indoor center. It's going to be an insulated, heated, permanent steel structure. We feel that both in the long term and both for the recreational and competitive, that is a better choice than a dome. We'll have a front hub with some tennis pickleball equipment, reception, offices, viewing and waiting area, refreshment area, washrooms, change rooms, parking. Those things would be pretty routine, I would say, for any racquetball center. We plan to have 2 to 3, a minimum of 2 employees, and then obviously we'll have the coaching staff. The way we plan to run this business is, is by using high-end technology. So a lot of electronic entries, CCTVs, Wi-Fi to control the heating, and all that sort of to run it efficiently and to lower the costs. We do have experience with that from some European centers, which we have worked with before. Our kids have trained with of how to do that, and also some centers in Canada as well. Obviously, there would be a close collaboration with the community, in particular Tennis PEI and the summer clubs. Those would be the first people we go to if we have anything, if we feel that this plan does go through, if we do have the helping hand from the municipality or the city, and then our first stop after this would be to go to Tennis PEI and the summer clubs, both, and also the pickleball community, to see how we can collaborate, how they can run their programs at our center, how we can contribute to their programs and stuff like that. So, but till now we haven't talked to those very important pieces because we feel we don't have a solid, solidified, fully developed plan yet. Obviously, the coaches, close collaboration with the coaches. We have been involved in this for 15 years. We know a lot of good coaches and stuff. Seniors, it is the tennis and pickleball are now the fastest growing sports for seniors. It's a non-contact sports, relatively safe, can be played at any age. So senior centers would definitely be talking to them if something goes through. Competitive recreational kids, these are the people who are actually driving the plan, the competitive kids. There's a lot of interest in that, and they use up a lot of court time. Schools, the 6-court indoor center in Fredericton, which is called Albany, they have a collaboration with middle schools. So middle schools, they offer some sort of tennis programs during lunch hour and stuff. So they do have a collaboration with schools, and we would definitely like to explore that in PEI as well. With the university, that would be a very important part as well, for their players to play at our center. We've already done a short survey with the hotels and gyms. There is a significant interest within some of the hotels for collaborating if the center does come up to offer their members some of the tennis time and sort of collaborate with us. Hybrid sports is also very popular, at least in Fredericton, from our experience, what we know from Fredericton, very popular. So sort of indoor tennis and soccer mixed up, indoor tennis and basketball mixed up, sort of that hybrid model. After school care, again, very popular in Fredericton. Summer camps, I would say it's now one of the most popular summer camps in Fredericton, the tennis summer camps. They do have, obviously, as I said, hybrid. Like they do have soccer and tennis, basketball and tennis, adventure sports and tennis. But tennis has become an important summer camp option for many parents. And again, winter March break camps as well. We have run some numbers. These numbers are pretty concrete. We have got quotations from vendors to run this. We do have a construction construction manager who's going to be helping us. We have finalized that, so we do have the person in mind who's going to be constructing this, who's going to be the architect. We do have an architect. So basically, we do have the sort of the plan for the center. We do have a costing. The thing is that this costing was taken around 6-8 months back, so it's sort of ballpark. But the bottom line is that there's a cost for the project preparation. Then you go for the site preparation and foundation. Then you lay an asphalt layer on the foundation. Then you put on top of that you put the tennis surface. Then you cover it with the steel structure. Then you insulate the structure. Then you put on the lights, the heating, the ventilation, the plumbing, of course. Then you build the front hub, and then the parking. Right? We have estimated a cost. This is a very conservative cost. If everything goes well and the costs haven't increased from the last 6-8 months, so I would say the $6 million figure which we've got is a very conservative figure. I would expect it more to be like 6 to 7 million. I would say more on the 7 million side. We do have the resources for a 40% down payment on this. Our group has arranged that, and we plan to take a 60% loan on it. We have already talked to BMO for that, and we do, they have shown interest in financing it. Obviously, once we give them the completed plan, the formalities would need to be laid out if we do go through and we give them the completed plan. But they have sort of, I'm very optimistic that they will be able to help us with the 60% remaining amount. Coming to the revenue model, we are assuming a quote rate of 35 per hour, and assuming 8 to 10 hours for 8 months. For the summer, 4 months would be more like summer camps and other sorts of use. But basically, 35 per hour for 8 to 10 hours for 8 months. That comes to this figure of 270 to 336. We will have some a membership fee as well. All these are ballpark figures. A lot will depend on the budget and stuff from other things. But we are presuming around 50 per month, and hoping for 300 to 500 members. That gives us the figure. Some additional revenue as well from Academy. So you run some various programs. Some of them will be competitive, which are called like red ball, orange ball, green ball programs, academies for junior players. So let's say 8 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 13-year-old players, and then you go into the main competitive programs. We can have, obviously, we'll be hoping to have some events like seniors events, birthdays and stuff. Some earnings from those. Hopefully, Tennis PI will be able to collaborate with them and run their programs, tournaments, sponsorship, the coaches and stuff. So we're assuming 50 to 100,000 from additional revenue from these avenues. The total income comes to 440 to 636. And then I've listed the expenditure, the interest payments on the 60% loan, the property tax, energy costs, manpower costs, insurance, and then some miscellaneous costs. And so based on this revenue model, we are running a loss of 250 to a minimum of 50,000 to a maximum of 250,000. I would quickly like to go on the impact on the community. Tennis, obviously, it's a big health and fitness tool, and as I've experienced myself in Fredericton, a very popular sport. It's a great fit for seniors. Both tennis and pickleball is I would say one of the best fit for seniors. And if you see in the summer, it's in PI itself, or if you see in Fredericton the year round. It's, I would say, one of the most popular sports for seniors. There are multiple variations: cardio tennis, lunch tennis offered to corporates for fitness. So I have my experience mainly from Fredericton, and I can say that it helps in health and fitness in various ways. Economic, obviously, there would be a big capital infusion, the 6 to 7 million from our side. So there'd be big capital infusion, the operational costs which would go to the city, like property tax, power bill, etc. It would not be a lot, but there would be a small employment generation of 2 to 3 full-time employees, additional part-time employees, some summer jobs, and obviously on the sports equipment side and stringing and all those are small things, but they do contribute to the economic side. Tourism, in my next slide, I'm just going to go over an example of a tournament and the number of players in a tournament and how it helps in the, it really contributes to the tourism side. As I've said, we've already talked to some of the hotels and gyms, and there's definite interest there. There's a scope for several social events. For example, I'm a part of the College of Physicians, and our latest meeting was held in an indoor pickleball center. So our meeting was sort of combined with that. So there's a scope for several social events which can contribute to the tourism. The most important part here is the kids and students part. It's a lifeline for competitive players. As a father of 2 players who are deep into competitive tennis, I can say my whole life revolves around that. For one of the reasons I chose, I would choose Fredericton if I was to get a job here, would be because there's an indoor tennis center here. So for people whose kids are playing competitive tennis, they could leave a city or come to a city just because of that single reason, if there's an indoor center or not. And in Canada, that's critical for the competitive play. I've already mentioned schools, after school care, summer camps, hybrid camps, and the university. All of those are going to be close collaborations. Those would be people who would, like, it's a no-brainer. They would definitely come to our center, and they're waiting actually for the center to come up. Infrastructure, again, in a few of my slides, I'm going to show how Tennis Canada has shown that it is a very popular and growing sport, both tennis and pickleball. And this completion of infrastructure for PEI would give it the ability to hold tournaments in the winter. Obviously, things like birthdays, senior events, leagues, charity events, corporate events. So it would be definitely an important piece of infrastructure if it does come up. And then some special groups. You have a wheelchair tennis. We had an international wheelchair tennis tournament in Fredericton of ITF level. More than 50 wheelchair tennis participants were there. For coaches and instructors, you could have a livelihood out of tennis. And then just a small example of the Atlantic Tennis Center in Halifax, which is the largest tennis center. It has 12 courts, 4 outdoor and 4 indoor, and is a center of excellence in Canada. All their 3 coaches, all their 3 current coaches are from Ukraine. So this is a community which is very interested in tennis. There's some very good international players as well. So just a small side note here, that it would contribute in that multicultural way as well. Just a small slide to show from Tennis Canada, showing how tennis is exploding. It's the 4th most popular sport in terms of interest and the 5th in terms of participation. Pickleball's pretty quickly climbing that as well. A large number of repeat players, new players. So as I would say, especially post-COVID, there has been a significant increase in the number of players, increase in the interest, as it was a non-contact sport, and sort of that. Because of that, it's now, I would say one of the top sports, and this, I would say, it's a very important infrastructure, I would say, for PEI. Just an example of for the tourism part. This is an example of one of the tournaments held in Fredericton in January. It's a 4-star tournament, so it's a big tournament. There were 78 players, And 59 of these players were from outside of Fredericton. So 59 families stayed 4 days in Fredericton for this tournament. Every New Brunswick would have at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 tournaments in a month with the same amount of players. This I'm talking about juniors. There are adults tournaments as well. There are leagues as well, from which out of town and out of province players travel to play those events. There's social events as well, from which out of town and out of province players do come in. There are coaching courses, instructor courses. Again, you have out of town and out of province people coming for that. So there is a fair amount of. I would say that there is definitely a case for contribution to tourism, significant contribution to tourism here. Now coming to the various forms of partnerships in Canada, the public-private partnership is the most common model in Canada for the various indoor tennis centers which we have. And one of the reasons for that is the revenue model which I've shown. It is not a very revenue intensive. It's not a very revenue intensive plan. The indoor tennis court, or I would say not a very business friendly. So the public-private partnership, and you have that on Tennis Canada website. It's of various forms. One of them is that it's public courts, and a private player covers the public courts with sort of a sports dome. Another form of public-private partnership is it is built by the city and only operated by the private players. And the third form of partnership is it is owned and operated by the private players. You have for-profit and not-for-profit. Both these models, you have, I would say, both these models. But unless it is in a resort, a private indoor tennis court, a big facility, I mean like 4 or 6, not like my single indoor court, but like 4 or 6 court facility is extremely uncommon. And as I said, that is because of the revenue model which I've shown you. In that surface, in that huge amount of surface area, you have 2 players playing or 4 players playing. Unless if it's another business, you could have many players or many people in that area. So the public-private partnership which we are pitching for is a very common model, is the most common model. And is a successful model. So what sort of helping hand are we looking from the government? And this here comes an important part for us. We are looking for several pieces, and then but we'd like to know what is possible and what is not. So I'm not aware what is possible and what is not, but this is the stuff which we would hope for. We are looking for serviced land, a minimum of 2 acres, sold or leased to us at a nominal price. And this we have taken from several examples. So the Moncton Sports Dome, which is a multi-sport facility in Moncton, is sort of modeled on the same way, in which the land was sold by the Moncton municipality to a private group for $1. We have another example, New Maryland Nursing Home. One of our partners, he's investing in nursing homes, and it's a private for-profit, but because the municipality needs that and feels that it'll contribute, it is offering the land at a nominal rate. So I'm just giving a few examples of what municipalities in other parts have sometimes offered because they feel it's an important contribution to the community. A shared parking could lower our costs. So let's say if we're offered, if we have a land in a place where there's another building or something nearby, we could share the parking. That would definitely help us lower some costs in our budget. Help with the permits. Again, there have been a few examples where have some either because the land is already provided and already been serviced, some of the permits costs are reduced or not there. So maybe we could explore that. And then the property taxes. I will go into my next slide as to how some of the municipalities help with the property taxes, at least initially. Energy costs, again, would like to explore if and the energy costs are a major part of the operational costs. And even in my in one court, we plan to build 4 courts, but even in my single court in Fredericton, the energy costs in the winter run between 800 to 2,000 per month. So this would be significantly larger than that because it's a much larger center. So we're looking if there's any incentive for green energy. We can invest in green energy if the province has some particular incentive for green energy. We can also look at an innovative model. For example, the Albany Center in Fredericton, it shares the heat from the ice rink. So that significantly lowers their energy costs. So if something innovative like that can be worked out, that would be great. And I'm not sure if you're eligible for any grant from NB Power. I don't know if the city has something to do with that. I think we'd have to directly deal with NB Power, or maybe the city can help us deal with them if there are any incentives they have from their side. The third is we would be definitely interested in any financial incentive or grant. I've just put the example of 2 of those. One is from Moncton, where there is a financial incentive program for downtown redevelopment, which sort of is a 10-year plan, and in the first year, it's sort of based on the municipality tax, so it sort of covers the whole. It sort of covers the whole cost of the property, and the second year will be a little less, and sort of that way. The city of Riverview in New Brunswick also has a financial incentive program. For projects worth more than 5 million, which is they give a significant grant. So I'm not sure if PEI has any such grants or would be willing to go that route. Some cities have a community impact grant, and as I would like to impress that this does have a significant impact on the community. I'm not sure if the Canada Games Legacy Fund, if that is a part which if we can get a part of, if there's any funding from that side. Also, for completion of the racquetball center, we would also be interested in squash courts, and if there's any interest from the city, because in helping us with that, we would be open to that as well. So, since we are a private-owned center, and let's say if the council or the city or the municipality does come forward to help us, how would we be giving back to the community? Obviously, we will provide the service, but we would keep the court rates very reasonable. That will help us lower down the court rates, which again, helps the general public. And again, I'm going to show you examples of the different court rates in Atlantic Canada and how where we plan to fit in. We would be willing to, negotiate court time which is owned by the city. For example, at the 35 per hour, 1 hour of court time for the whole year is worth around $14,250. So let's say, we give 1 hour to the city, which they can decide whom they want to forward to, someone in need or senior centers or whatever. I'm not sure, but those are things which we're willing to discuss. We're willing to give sponsorship for top competitive players. And then again, if depending on how much the city can help us, we could have court timer programs free or discounted for seniors, kids, lower socioeconomic status, schools. We're willing to discuss all of that. But obviously that would depend a lot on the budget and stuff like that. But those are things which we are willing to go on that path. Now, just a quick comparison of the various models. I would first like to tell the Atlantic Tennis Center in Halifax. And this is a government-owned center. It's a center of excellence. They built 6 indoor courts. So in this, there is huge capital infusion by both the government of Canada. So both by the federal, by the government of Nova Scotia, and the municipality. There have been huge contributions by all of them. And this center was built I would say around 12, 13 years back. So at that time, the costs were significantly less. But as you can see in my slide, there's significant contributions from all of these government organizations. And basically, we are going to be infusing most of the capital from our side. They also have a significant rebate in property tax, and their membership fee is $475 for adults, and their court rate is 42. So what I want to impress in that before I would just also like to say the other model, which is this is not a government owned, but a not for profit model, which is the Albany Tennis Center in Fredericton. So again, the land was given to them by the city. It was the city was a donor of the land. They have significant rebates in property tax. Their membership fees is $200 for the season, and their court fees is 28 to 34, depending on whether you are a player or whether you are a member or not a member. And then I would like to compare our model. So in both the previous models, the government owned and the not-for-profit model, not for profit but not government owned model. First of all, there has to be a huge capital infusion by the government, which I would say in a private setting, the private players will be doing that. The court rate and membership which we have proposed are either equal or cheaper than the current rates for let's say the ATC or Albany. We are asking for a temporary relief in property tax and rebate, while they have a permanent relief in property tax and rebate. So if things do fall through and we do get some relief in, let's say, the property tax or the tax rebate, we don't expect it to go on forever. We expect, for that to go on for some years, as in the Moncton case or Riverview case, and then it sort of dips down, and then we sort of at some point we are paying the property tax, right? So the capital infusion is by the private members, and then we are ready to give special rates and discounts, which neither the government model has nor the not-for-profit model has. They don't have any special, like anything free for seniors or court owned by the government. They don't have any court hours owned by the government. We are ready to go that route as well, and we will be giving a clear and transparent credit to the government as well. Again, one thing which I noticed that neither in the ETC nor in the Albany, it's clearly mentioned that the land is donated by the government. Because if that's an important an important credit to the government, and we would be putting that clearly. Whatever help we get, we'll be putting clearly and transparently on our website, in our on our courts. So I would like to end here by saying that I believe that there is a definite need and significant interest for this indoor tennis center, indoor tennis and pickleball center in PEI. We believe it will have a large positive impact in various spheres on the community. For us, it's not a money-making thing. It's our passion for tennis. We want to leave an imprint. We want to leave a legacy. We want to be involved in it after retirement, before a retirement. We want to be involved with the game of tennis. For us, it's about that. But also, we cannot lose money. So for us, it's to break even. A break even is good enough for us. There was an article in the Tennis Weekly in which they compared a tennis and a trampoline park. So a trampoline park could earn up to 100 times what a tennis court if you have 4 courts. So they compared why the private players were not building tennis courts on their own and why it was a public-private partnership. And a trampoline park is a much better business idea. So it would need someone with a passion and a vision for tennis and to share it to the community to go that route and invest a significant amount of capital. And for us, I would say a public-private partnership is the way to go. And I think it would be a win-win situation for both the parties.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vermani, for your presentation. It shows that you're quite passionate with this project. Is there any questions from the committee?
Right here.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. Because this presentation has a great impact on Parks and Recreation, I think it'd be prudent to take this to the Parks and Recreation Committee as well, because we're talking about recreational programming. But the model that you outlined here is, it's intriguing. I'm not sure, I think it's something to work with, to be honest with you. 3 tennis courts, we're going to go to a project of this magnitude, regardless of what involvement the city of Charlottetown has. I would argue that 3 tennis courts wouldn't be sufficient. I think at the minimum, at least 6 tennis courts, if the city of Charlottetown is going to be truly involved. I mean, you look at the demand for the tennis courts down at the park, Victoria Park. I mean, we have 8 courts there. They're going the whole time. There's a big demand during the summer months, so I can imagine that the demand for tennis courts in the wintertime would even be that much greater. So I think this is something to work with. I'd like to take this information. Again, I'll reiterate to Parks and Recreation to have those discussions. You talk about a public-private partnership. I mean, we'd have to evaluate all of those different details to see how it would work. I don't even know how many tennis courts are out at the spa. John, you would know. How many tennis courts were at the spa at the time?
Used to be 2, it's not now.
No, there was how many?
Used to be 2, but there's not.
2. There's none now. I know there's none now. But, you pointed out the sharing of pickleball and the tennis courts. Christopher's here, Christopher Drummond. He can recall, we were given a couple of presentations by the pickleball community, and they wanted to be able to utilize the tennis courts down in Victoria Park, and it wasn't a proper fit where they would be able to use the tennis courts. So I'm intrigued that there's flexibility to be able to use the tennis courts for pickleball in this venue, whereas down in Victoria Park, it wasn't. So, there's a lot to work with here. I certainly appreciate you taking the initiative to come here and approach the city of Charlottetown. The different types of funding formulas. There's a lot to work with here. I think this is a great starting point, but I personally would like to explore it further. I'd like to, our staff in economic development, but equally important, our staff in Parks and Recreation and the Parks and Recreation Committee. And if we're going to build something or we're going to be involved, again, in a project of this magnitude, then we have to look 25, 35 years down the road. We can't build a facility, for example, with just 3 tennis courts and then say, geez, why didn't we add 3 more? Why didn't we build 6? And is there an opportunity to build these tennis courts from an indoor perspective? And what's the possibilities of building on the same property tennis courts on the outside? So you get to use the dressing rooms and all the other amenities that are on the inside of the facility. So there's a lot to look at. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Twill.
I would like to take that on. The first thing I would like to say that I would say we should consider it as a 4-court tennis facility and not a 3-court. So the reason we came on 4 courts is that, and then again you said the outdoor and indoor, again that will be the ideal scenario. But currently the 6-court tennis facility in Halifax, it would be upwards of 10 million, while a 4-court would be in the region of 7 million. And if you add the outdoor courts to it, then you're looking at a much higher level. Then you're looking at 15 to 20 million. So it's just, if you increase the number, then basically we're looking at building this 5 to 10 years down the line, and not while our plan is to build it, let's say, in 1 to 2 years, right? If you're thinking of building the 6-court outdoor, 6-court indoor like the Halifax, then we are thinking of, and that is the reason many of the plans in St. John and Moncton have fallen through, because the plans are too big. So what happens is that you like the one in St. John, they envisioned 5 years back a plan of 15 million with the outdoor and indoor courts, and they have fundraised 200,000. So, and the federal government and the provincial, they're not able to contribute that huge amounts of money. So that's the reason we wanted to go to a little bit more compact and something which is doable. And so let's say the 4 tennis courts, a little bit more doable, and then maybe we can add 2 more or 3 more clay courts or different kind of courts or pickleball center after we feel that it's working well and things are a good fit. But I'm not to say that what the councillor said is wrong. That would be the ideal situation. I definitely agree with that, to have 6 courts and to have outdoor and indoor. But I'm just explaining my reasoning as to why we went for a smaller center. That's all.
Okay, Chair. And I think we need to look at squash as well. That's also a popular sport. And, if we're going to look at things, then maybe we can look at squash, maybe a couple of squash courts, and we got to be open to table tennis as well. These are just ideas. We're looking at some conceptual possibilities here, right? We're brainstorming, we're thinking of ideas, and we have to be open. And with that in mind, I want to look at, okay, tennis, pickleball, squash, and table tennis. Table tennis has been a very popular sport in this province for a number of decades. I mean, I'm not a table tennis player, but we've had a lot of real good athletes in that particular sport. So again, I think we're at the idea stage here. I appreciate the information that you brought forward, but I'd like to do additional research and to engage with our staff here, both in economic development and parks and recreation, and to see from an ideal perspective, then from a practical perspective, to see, what the possibilities are. And then, come back and have further discussions. That's all I'm trying to bring to the table right now after hearing your presentation, Doctor.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Vermani, and from what I'm hearing, Councillor Tweel, Parks and Recreation is going to explore this a little bit further and look into it. So we'll let Parks and Rec into that. In response to your squash court, we do have 3 facilities in Charlottetown that have squash facilities that are not at capacity now. So I think you'll address it appropriately. So thanks again, Dr. Vermani.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No, we have questions. John, did you have some?
Sorry, Dr. Vermani. There's a question from
Doctor,
Yeah.
we have a couple of
Councillor
questions before you
McAleer,
go.
sorry.
No, again, thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. No, just at a broad level, since I've been involved in council, it's, certainly apparent to me, just in general, that, I think there's great demand, great need in the city for, a racket club. I was interested when I saw this, on the agenda. I didn't know just how involved your presentation was going to be, but, certainly, as Councillor Tweel has expressed, I think there's, there's certainly a need for this kind of club in the city, a racket club. But on there, I know one of the things Councillor Tweel talked about squash. There's a lot of squash participation, whatever, here in the island. I think if and I don't know if there was on one of your screens. I noticed. I guess it was the government thing. There was a squash note there. I don't know if there was there any collaboration with any of the squash community in putting this together, because I think it would be. It would be great to have something like that incorporated, if at all possible.
The reason I put that squash courts is because we came to know through I'm not sure if it's Summerside or Charlottetown, that through the Canada Games Legacy funding, they have some squash courts available with the city. So the squash courts are there. They just need someone to operate them or someone to buy them, right? So that's why I put that as a special note, because we could just run them for you, and you could put them there and we could run them for you, or if it's at a reasonable rate, at a discounted rate, we could buy it from you, because the city already has. I'm not sure if it's the city of Charlottetown or the city of Summerside, but one of them already has the squash courts from the Canada Games.
Thank you, Dr. Vermani. Your worship has a question for you.
Mr. Chair, just through the chair to Wayne Long. Wayne, where are the Canada Games 2023 squash courts? Are they with Stratford, or are they just in storage?
Through the chair, your worship, the squash courts, as you know, were portable. And as a part of the legacy, the town of Stratford secured those. They are in storage. It's my understanding they're in storage in Stratford, with a plan potentially to use those sometimes in the future with the construction that they might build a community recreation campus there. But they are with the town of Stratford.
And Dr. Vivek, that's why I just brought that point up, because the city was looking at those squash courts, but I think as part of the contribution from the town of Stratford to the Canada Games 2023 operating fund, that was what was part of the, I think, reciprocal deal to balance their investment. But Doctor, can I refer to you as Dr. Vivek?
Of course.
So, Dr. Vivek, you said that if we get 1 hour free, these are just some quick questions, that would amount to $14,250. So your rate, I'm dividing by 365 days, that's about $40 an hour. Is that correct? What's
At $35 an hour.
how much?
35.
35. So is that the going rate in Fredericton, or is it higher or lower?
That is the going rate in Fredericton, but it is higher in Halifax. In Halifax, it is 42.
Right.
If you're a member, it is 42. So the Halifax courts are more expensive, which the players feel the pinch as well when they I'm talking about the junior players. They feel the pinch as well. So so that's why we have priced it more reasonably at 35, which is the Fredericton rate. But yeah, usually it is somewhere between 35 to 50. Like if you go to Montreal, it's going to be 50. If you go to Halifax, it's 42. In Fredericton, it's 35. So that is the 35 to 50 is just the court rate.
Yeah.
Usually per
So,
hour.
Dr. Vivek, when you talk about Halifax, are you talking about the Atlantic Tennis Center in Bedford?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
talking about that.
So is that
Yes.
owned, operated by Atlantic Tennis Canada, or is that owned and operated by Bedford or the Halifax Regional Municipality?
By the Atlantic Tennis, by the Atlantic Tennis.
Okay, so they own, operate, maintain it with funding
Yes.
from the city of Halifax, from
Yes,
HRM?
and the city of Halifax and the government of Nova Scotia as well.
Okay, so that is a triple partnership at ATC?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And with significant contribution from both Tennis Canada and from the federal government at the time of construction as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's a government owned, so obviously there were those contributions.
So when you talked about 3 tennis courts, I think you opted to 4, right? This will have 4 because to get any financial assistance from Tennis Canada, it has to be a minimum of 4 tennis courts. Is that correct?
That is correct, but the reason we are not looking for any money because ours is not a not-for-profit. The only way Tennis Canada funds is either a not-for-profit or a government organization.
Okay.
But in my presentation, that's what I've shown, that despite all those fundings, the court rates are not less for the public. Neither is government getting any property tax. The land has to be donated. So if all those things are already done for a government center, and still the operating cost and still the cost for the court are not less for the public, then why not let a private member do it who's going to infuse the capital as well, and obviously asking some things from the government. But even for a not-for-profit, the government is already giving those things. I think you get my point, right?
Yep. Yeah. So just at the beginning of this month, Canada Games 2023 committee announced their legacy fund. It's 5.5 million. And I think the province may match that because they want to see the expenditure cover those legacy components, transfer of knowledge, sport development, sport management, new facilities or upgraded facilities, social, community, and culture, and the Canada Games brand. But when you look under the financial legacy, the legacy will be distributed through an application process for the benefit of sport throughout Prince Edward Island. Projects must support sport programs and facilities, benefits of the program to be spread across the province. Canada Games partner community or PSO that did not receive any equivalent legacy will be given priority. Now, for the city of Charlottetown, for Canada Games 2023, we received upgrades in our existing facilities. And of course, I noticed they have on one of their legacy projects, the UPEI student residence. Yeah, but that student residence received money from the feds and the province, and no money from the legacy fund. So I think the only thing we received is just upgrades to our existing facilities, whereas Summerside received financial contribution for their indoor tennis, indoor facility, which is a bubble, the Dome. So do you think you could, Dr. Vivek, do you think that your not-for-profit could fit in that legacy requirement, the financial legacy for the Canada Games 2023 fund?
No, but is the Canada Legacy Fund only for not-for-profit?
See, it doesn't say that. So that's,
Yeah.
I think that's something we'd have to look into because it's being administered by the Community Foundation Prince Edward Island. So I think we would have to reach out to them to ask if the Canada Games Legacy Fund, Canada Games 2023 Legacy Fund would apply to this project. I think it's a great project. And I know you know Sheldon Ops, who's quite involved with tennis, Bob Gallagher, who's with Tennis PEI. I know that it'd be great for us to all sit down with the other potential partners and work on something that would be great to see for the city of Charlottetown, because as Councillor McAleer has said, squash is a big sport here. So is tennis, but now the growing sport is pickleball, as you know. So I think this is just the perfect time for this proposal, and hopefully we can meet in person with the other players or other persons I mentioned in my questions and comments. Is that
That
possible?
would be great. Of course, that would
Okay.
be great.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think, it could be another joint Parks, Recreation, Economic Development Committee. Huh? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Mr. Twill, you'll be an opportunity for you to discuss this further.
Well, like I said, this has a great impact and effect on recreational programming for the residents of Charlottetown. So therefore, it's indispensable that Parks and Recreation needs to be involved at the ground level to make sure that we're looking at, where we're at, where we can be, and where we're going to be down the road in the next 25 to 35 years. I'll give you an example. They built a nice facility over in Stratford, that soccer facility, but they didn't build it big enough to accommodate all the sports. Now, they're getting great usage out of it, but it wasn't built big enough. And that's what seems to happen here when we build facilities. We don't build them big enough, or we don't provide all the proper amenities. So if we're going to make an investment, we have to look at the type of investment that we want to make for a facility that will meet the needs of the participants, again, for the next, 2 to 3 decades. So, it's a great starting point, but there's a lot more research and information that's truly required before we can come up with a foolproof plan.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just add, with Dr. Vivek here, I think Dr. Vivek and your medical partners can come over to the island, or vice versa, we go over to Frederick, and let's just get a roundtable on this to start moving it, because There are many tennis players out there, and since the closure, Dr. Vivek, of the spa tennis courts, the impact has been great. I think, John, Councillor McAleer, it was also being used for pickleball, so lots of potential use for many groups, and this is a good start. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Vermani.
Thanks a lot. And
Okay, yeah, we're gonna move on. We're way over time right now, so we're gonna move along. So thank you very much for your presentation again.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oops.
Just got him up there. See you later, Click.
Okay, next on the agenda, Atlantic Moose report from Manager Long.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this file. You have the report in front of you. As the committee is aware, we had a presentation from the Atlantic Moose, and then we advanced a resolution to council, which was originally deferred, and we've taken it back to the committee and done some more work on this particular file. Staff's recommendation is the council do not endorse efforts by the Atlantic Moose to host a CFL game or secure an expansion franchise for the city, obviously for a number of reasons: financial model, the absence of a sound business plan, destination market readiness, and the significant CFL specifications that come with such. And further, that the Atlantic Moose deferred resolution of April 9th, 2024 be rescinded. The report stands on its own. I do want to highlight a couple of pieces of information, though. In April, as I indicated, a resolution was deferred, and staff were directed to go back to the Atlantic Moose as part of that resolution and secure additional information. In communicating the information to the organization, it was made clear to staff that it was indeed the municipality who requested the hosting of an exhibition game, and therefore it would need to be the municipality who would lead the initiative and also serve as the financial guarantor. And while the Moose is certainly interested to execute a game on behalf of the municipality, their real focus is on bringing a franchise to the city. In theory, this is an exciting opportunity, but however, if you drill down and look at all of the alignment, look at the requirements, look at the investments, et cetera, that comes with this, is a substantial undertaking for such a project, and doesn't necessarily align with the municipality's strategy for growth or master plans through Parks and Recreation or other entities. The CFL outlined a formal process for the Atlantic Moose, not only for an expansion of a franchise, but hosting a CFL game, which raised questions of the Atlantic Moose. And the CFL has recently confirmed that they have ceased all communications with the organization.
Thank you, Wayne. Any questions, comments from
Yeah,
Mr. Tweel?
yeah, I think that, I think the city of Charlottetown should explore the opportunity. I think, I support the recommendation from senior management. But this is a great opportunity for the city of Charlottetown to explore the opportunity to host a CFL game here in the city, and this is something that we should pursue. I've been strong on that for the last 3 or 4 years. We're the only province of Canada that's never hosted a CFL game. And I believe the football community in this province deserve to have that opportunity to have that experience. So based on that, Chair McKinnon, I do propose the city pursuing that. I'm willing to, head that up with members of the Island football community, Mr. Long, and others that are interested in pursuing that. At least come up with a plan of action to bring back to this committee and bring back to City Council for a discussion. There'd have to be a lot of legwork done, a lot of research done, But I think we owe it to our, again, to the football community to at least explore that opportunity and to see what it would take to host a game here in the city. Here's the concern I have. If we don't pursue it as a capital city, you can rest assured there's going to be other municipalities in this province that will pursue it. Summerside, they don't sit in the sidelines too long. I mean, they'll take an idea and they'll run with it, and they'll make it work. And it's a credit to them. But I think that as the capital city, I think we have not only what it takes, but we can host events too. We've proven that, and it's time to examine hosting a CFL game here in the city. So I think that's what I would like to pursue as a member of this committee, and equally important as a member of the Island football community.
Thank you, Councillor Tweel. We are here today, it's back on the agenda today because you did already put this request in 2 meetings ago for them to explore. Staff did explore this. This is what they come back with. We need to come up with $1 million for a bond. We need to come up with a $12,000 seat stadium. This is what Manager Long came back with. We don't have this. So if
Well,
we're going to
we-
keep exploring it, I'm not sure where we're going to go.
Well, we don't have it now, right? But what we need to do is look at, venues and funding and who would be involved. I mean, it just wouldn't be the city of Charlottetown involved with the funding of such a game. It'd be a partnership with the other 2 levels of government. You'd have a COA, the feds, the province, and other agencies in the province that might want to participate. So what I'm suggesting is, at least let's examine the possibility. Let's not shut the door, because if we shut the door, I can guarantee you another municipality will say, fine, they don't want to pursue it, we'll pursue it. At least let's look at what it would take. That's all I'm suggesting. And I think that's pretty reasonable.
Do we need to put a motion on the floor for this? Councilor McLeary, comments?
Thank you, Chair. All due respect to Councillor Tweel's, lobby on this. After all the information that's since come back, on this, I couldn't disagree more with you, Councillor Tweel. I'm not prepared to support it. If there's other municipalities that want to take it on, they're welcome to it. I think the information that's in the committee report, the financial commitment, the obligation, I personally, as a member of this committee, can't support it, and I certainly support the staff recommendation on it to shut it down. Thank you.
No, he's what the staff are saying, Mr. Long is saying, shut down this group that wanted to come here and explore the opportunity of having a franchise. That's not staff. Wayne, I'll ask you, don't you think it'd be prudent for the city of Charlottetown at least examine the idea from our own perspective? Examine the idea of what it would take to host a CFL game here?
Through the chair, Councillor, I guess what I would state is the facts is that staff are always open to prospect and secure events that have meaningful impacts on the destination. The one thing that the committee needs to consider in their decision here is that none of the facts change in terms of what is required to host an exhibition game. So if it's the committee's direction that staff go and prospect further, the committee needs to be well aware that none of the points that are in here will change. These are still all the requirements of hosting a game. So those are things that the committee needs to consider.
Did you want to put a motion on the floor?
Yeah, sure. I'll put a motion on the floor that the city of Charlottetown examine the possibilities, not an exhibition game, a regular season game here in the city of Charlottetown. And that we look at potential funding partners, forming partnerships with any agency that, the Island football community, a COA. I mean, this would be great for tourism. There's other sectors here in the province that would want to be involved in such an endeavor. At least to commit to doing the research and seeing out there who would be willing to participate in such an exciting event. Why not have the city of Charlottetown be directly involved in hosting a CFL game here in this province? Like I said before, this province has never hosted a CFL game, never. So, like, why would we not at least open to the idea? And some of the points that Wayne outlined, I'm glad he brought them forward. Those are big challenges. But with every challenge, there's always a solution. At least let's look at that opportunity. I mean, to shut the door, to my mind, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm more of an optimist than saying, oh, it can't work. Why can't it work?
Yeah.
There's other events that take place in this province. I
Lots
mean,
of
look
events take
at
place, yes.
what?
Lots of events take place, but they don't come with the criteria of having $1 million.
No, I don't know. Look
Having
at
a
look at
$12,000
look at the
stadium.
Cavendish Music Festival. That's a big expenditure. Province got involved, helped out with that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have happened in this province. So anyway,
So the motion's
on the floor.
Do we have a seconder?
Mr. Chair,
Do we have a seconder first before?
well, I just wanted, before it goes on the floor, it says right here, post of a bond, $1 million. Who made that request? CFL, right?
Through the chair, your worship, these points that are listed are criteria of the CFL to even be considered for hosting a game. Yes, this is
And-
coming from the
and
CFL.
Do we have a CFL quality field? Would the one out in Cornwall qualify? Because I don't think it has 20-yard end zones.
Through the chair, your worship, I can't speak specifically to the Cornwall field, but there is a certain standard of field that would be required to host a CFL game, there's no doubt.
Yeah, but we don't have one in Charlottetown. I don't think there's one in the island. Is there?
I can't speak specifically, but I can identify a field that would meet the standards currently.
Right, and they're asking for at least 12, capacity for at least 12,000 fans. Do we have a stadium that big? Can we bring in seating for 12,000 fans?
Through your chair, through the chair, your worship, you can create stadiums with temporary infrastructure, like was done in other markets, but it is costly.
Yeah.
No, I spoke, I think, for economic development, there's other places and other time to be putting our energy, staff resources. Eastlink Center, I'm thinking is one of them as an example, and, I guess there's something coming on that, but I just think there's, to me, I'm not interested in supporting it. It doesn't make sense to me. Thank you.
Anyways, Mr. Chair, if I could just finish, like, page 5, these are points that have, this is the criterion, correct? And if we don't meet that, they don't come to us. If we don't have a 12,000-seat stadium or something that would provide 12,000 seating, or 12,000 seats, that wouldn't be there. Fully approved site to the stand. As I said, I don't think we have, Councillor Twill, you know it. We don't have a CFL quality field. We do not.
We don't have one at UPEI? No, we don't.
The turf field that we contributed to back in early 2000,
Not talking the turf field, I'm talking
one?
the other field,
the McAdam field?
where the Hurricanes play. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not 20, they're not
So
20.
it's not, it can't work?
Could we get an answer on that from getting a hold of UPEI?
Through the chair, your worship, we can certainly request that information. You need to consider, though, the CFL is the one who makes the decision. So if you want to advance the file, CFL have made it clear to us that they need to come to town to approve a proposed venue.
So, once again, I'll reiterate, are we at least willing to explore? That's all. Just explore the opportunity.
You don't need a resolution for that?
Pardon me?
I don't think we
Well,
need a
no,
resolution.
let's make it official. Let's make it, Yeah, let's make it official. Let's explore it. I mean, as Wayne pointed out, the seating that you referred to would be temporary seating, unlike what took place over at Acadia. Geez, they had a remarkable event over there a couple of years ago, and that was a regular season game.
what did
So
it
if
cost?
Acadia can do it, why can't we do
What
it?
did it cost?
What?
What did it cost?
I don't know.
Let's
I
find
wasn't
that out.
privy to all the information.
Find that out.
Okay, so,
Explore all you want.
so let's explore it. Are you on board to explore it?
Yeah, but
Yes
I
or
don't
no?
think, I don't think you need a resolution. Just
No,
go
we need
look
a
into it.
motion. The CAO said we need a motion.
Well, I
Is
can,
that correct?
you know what?
So the
To
motion
ex-
is on the floor.
Yeah, I got a motion on the floor. You willing to second it, Mr.
No, I'm
Mayor?
not seconding, because these
Okay,
qualifications.
so you're not interested.
I am interested. I'm just saying that I'll make the phone call this afternoon to UPEI about McAdam Field. I know it's not a CFL qualified field. I know it is, and you know that too.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Football out there. So where are we?
Okay, motion is defeated. We don't have a seconder. The motion is defeated.
You're not on board.
There's no motion. We're going to
You're
explore.
not
it.
on board.
Yeah, we can explore it. You can explore it through Parks and Recreation.
So you're not on board.
You can explore it through Rec.
Great. No, that's good. No. Good.
Okay, let's move on. Need a motion to move into closed session as per Municipal Government Act of PEI, Section 119, subsection 1, subsection E. E is a matter still under consideration of which council has not yet publicly announced a decision, and about which discussion in public would likely prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its negotiations. Or E, event hostings. Moved by your worship, seconded by Councilor McAleer. Okay. Back in open. I need a motion to adjourn. Councilor McAleer, seconded by your worship. Thank you very much, everyone.